Welcome to the AccuShield podcast. This is Deontay Davis, VP of Sales here, and I have with me today Katrina Mulholland, Senior Director of People at Amica. Katrina, welcome.
Thank you.
Happy to have you here at the workshop.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Good. So, everyone knows AccuShield, the kiosk company for front desk, basically giving communities an easy way to know who's in the building from a safety and security perspective. And as of recently, we've stepped into the shift management side of things, right? So partnered up with BookJane, software company based out in Canada, who you all use right now, right?
Yep.
To help with scheduling, call out, and really just making sure shifts are filled so that way residents are taken care of. So this year I decided to put on the Healthcare Staffing Innovation Workshop to bring in different groups, different people to come talk about, how do we address one of the biggest issues in senior living, which is staffing. So talk to me a bit about why you decided to come and speak at the workshop, because you're a speaker here.
Yeah, I think the thing that really interested me was first the concept. I love the idea of everyone having a voice. When I first joined the industry 10 years ago, I found, at least in the people space, we were really secretive. And that surprised me coming from outside of sector where we would share things like our comp data, our scheduling challenges. It was kind of like the good, the bad, the ugly, it's the good sides and the warts. And how are we going to get through it together? And this industry is so great from a place of compassion and understanding, but there was this hesitancy to share the people problems. And so that's what's really excited me over the evolution of the 10 years. And I think this conference is kind of like the culmination of that people really are hungry to solve the problem together, recognizing we are better. Like, let's acknowledge what we do really well, where we have gaps, and make a conscious choice to get through it together, because it's more fun. But the ideation of I only know my little sliver, and your perspective and another person's perspective and another person's perspective are going to make that idea so much better. So, and I think also accountability partners. Like, I want to leave with people who are going to give me a kick in the pants. So like, hey, I said I'm going to try this thing. You guys hold me to it over the course of the next year.
And follow up on it.
Yeah.
So would you say you have quite a bit of friends, connections within the industry, people that you talk to regularly about what's working, what's not working, all that?
Yeah, certainly in Canada I do. What really intrigued me about coming to the States is you're deeper in the problem right now. So to give you, like, when I went to another conference in the States earlier, I was blown away where our turnover for an industry on average is about 38%. And I went to the conference and found out that the national senior living turnover average is like 123%. And I was like, whoa, you're just in it a year or two ahead of us. And so really what intrigued me was I need to go build a network in the States. I'd love to go help other people solve the problem if I could take the learnings back and get ready in Canada for what's going to hit us.
And have you been with Amica all 10 years that you've been in senior living?
Yeah, so originally our organization was Baybridge Senior Living, and we acquired Amica probably about 8 years ago and took on their brand. But yes, I've been with that organization for 10 years.
That's a long time to be with one organization. I
Yes.
feel like in an industry where people tend to hop around pretty often. So what's so special about Amica that's made you stay there all this time?
Yeah, so this is a question I get asked all the time when I'm interviewing people to join the organization. And I'm shocked every single day because prior to this, the longest tenure I'd been with was in the grocery industry for 3.5 years. Like, I was a serial hopper every 3 years. Learner's one of my top strengths. So I love fixing problems, learning, and then moving on. The reason that I still continue in senior living and with Amica is the problems are never ending. It is the most complex and rewarding industry I've ever been a part of. Every single day when you think you've got it figured out, the human dynamic changes, people evolve, whether it's on the resident side, the family side, the team member side. And so you have to come up with new solutions. So there's never been a boring day. I think the other thing for me is people don't have to stay in their lane. And that was new to me coming in industry of, like, I get to help solve sales problems. I get to help solve people problems. Tech space, it could be on the P&L side and financials. So, me even working on Flex in our residences, I was the chair of that project, and somebody from people should not be responsible for scheduling. That's an ops and IT thing. But that's been one of the most rewarding things about Amica specifically, is they allow you to chase after things that you're passionate about, go where your strengths take you, and let you go test and fail and pivot and iterate and keep going. So I think that kind of safe environment that they've created for us to do that has been what's kept me there for 10 years.
Yeah, that makes for such great culture. And you can see it in the tenure right there. So that's great. So let's shift gears a bit. Talk to me about what you all have done that's worked really well when it comes to people, recruiting, all that at Amica, and maybe what hasn't worked as well.
Yeah. So for us, I think the biggest thing that I'm most proud of is the growth and development. We weren't doing it well. And so when we first started, we were kind of like an unknown entity, and we had to do mass hiring just to get our company going. And our first year, we had 100% turnover in the general manager position, which is like our key strategic position for growth. At the same time, we have all this projected growth coming down the pipeline, and we could not stabilize the business. So we decided that was going to be our key focus area. We knew we had a big growth pipeline in terms of investment and development. And we needed to have a big growth pipeline on the talent side to keep things stable and ever changing and improving. So we set a goal for ourselves of a 70% internal fill rate for all local leader positions, that they would be filled 70% of the time from within. And that was a point where we were at around 20%. So we really focused on that, and it's actually now what we're known for in the marketplace. When people ask from an employer perspective, hey, what do you know about Amica? I know I can grow there. In terms of what we don't do well, I think that we still have, we've just started exploring kind of belonging and inclusion and what that means for our team members, how you have this diverse group of talent, like that's why we invest in team, and yet make everyone feel like they're an equal, valuable, rewarding part. And I think the other space that we're really starting to dive into is team member wellness. We do it so beautifully for our residents in terms of this whole holistic domains of well-being. Why are we not delivering that for our team members who actually can go through very traumatic things? They become the resident's friend, they see them more than their family, and they have to deal with the passing of those residents. So that's something that we became really aware of during COVID, that, this is where we're falling short for our team members. It became really noticeable for us when we noticed leaders were afraid to have conversations around inclusion, around equity, and around really mental health and well-being.
Yeah, so I actually got my degree in health and wellness promotion. So that wellness.
So you can come help us?
I may leave Shield, just go up in Canada. Yeah, I may leave. But like the health and wellness side of things, that definitely strikes a chord with me, because I know how important that is to employee productivity, and then just moving the organization and really just caring for people overall. That's good. So in your LinkedIn header, you have a quote that says, "Leadership is much more of an art, a belief, a condition of the heart, than a set of things to do." And that's by Max Dupree. So what exactly does that mean to you, and what do you think of when you think of leadership?
Yeah, so that's my leadership philosophy. If people want to know, I tell all of our leaders that they need to build an elevator pitch. If people are just following you because their contract says, that's positional leadership. John Maxwell talks about that. And you're not really going to get the best out of people, and you're not going to have a rewarding experience. So that kind of sums up my leadership philosophy and why people should follow me. Is I believe that my role as a leader, if I've come in contact with you, and all leadership to me is one life influencing another, right? So not my position, but if my life is going to influence you, you are heading in a certain direction, and something I did changed the trajectory of where you were going, I've led you. That's kind of the artful part. And what I hope is that I've led you for something a little bit better. Yeah. That you've come in contact with me, and in some way, shape, or form for that contact, your life is a little bit better for me having been in it. Yeah. And so I think that's really my aspiration. When I get up out of bed every morning and I look at my team and I look at those that I'm in service to, am I able to make your life a little bit better? I tell everyone I shamelessly steal from our sales team. Actually, the way I started doing this is I started hopping on their sales calls. And I recognized that we are one of the best sales cultures I've ever seen, whether it's in the industry or outside of the industry. Our average occupancy before COVID was 97.5%. That's unheard of in the industry. And so I was like, our sales team is rocking it. And really, sales is no different than recruitment, right? When I sat back, it's like at the end of the day, you have a prospect, I have a candidate, and we're trying to take them through that journey. So the first thing for me was learning their language. And that's why I sat in on their sales meetings. And then I learned that actually, if we do X amount of initial tours, it results in a move-in. We know that correlation. And it's like, what if we could do that for a quality hire? It's X amount of initial interviews in the building. Well, now we can actually do the math backwards for leaders to know how much they actually have to recruit instead of kind of panic hiring, right? Let's do this proactively. So that's really where it started from. And then we've taken all of our tools and processes and we started to call it more sales language, which our leaders relate to a lot better than, the traditional HR talent acquisition type language. Yeah. And it's also informed the type of strategies that we employ now. So things like our external business partnerships. Well, why would we not leverage those that we've already built in the sales side and bring them into the talent acquisition side, produce referrals from that, right? The one that we're working on right now is we're about to launch our new employer brand based off of our employee value proposition work that we did last year. And we're going to have an army of brand ambassadors. And so all of our team members, training them on how to be brand ambassadors, because ultimately they are our culture. How they show up is what we are, not the words on the career website. Yeah. So. And
that's been such a big recurring theme throughout the workshop was, culture, leadership, everything around there. So Katrina, obviously, and where do you live right now?
I live in Cambridge, Ontario.
Okay, that's far, far from Atlanta.
Yeah, it's about an hour west of Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a flight.
Yeah, it's a hike.
Yeah. So what made you decide to come to this year's workshop, and what would you tell someone who's debating on coming to the next one?
Yeah, I think for me, it was the inspiration from my peers, the ability to network, to get new ideas and have those accountability partnerships. So for me, if there's anyone who is out there thinking, is this worth it? Even if you've made one friend coming out of this that's in the same problems as you, they're getting after it differently, it's worth it. And what I'd love to do in coming back the following year is I had the gift of being able to present to my peers.
Great presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I would really love for some of these people who took these ideas and they go back and they work on them for the next year. I just think it'd be so cool to come back and listen to their case studies on what they've accomplished over the year to really inspire me and motivate and challenge me to keep getting after it and just really build a groundswell and momentum on the people stuff we're trying to do better at.
Yeah. I think you just gave me an idea on a way to put together some type of focus group that's going to use all these things. Yeah. I'm going to figure that out.
Yeah, it's got to be like CrossFit style. We got to go in intense.
Yeah. Man, so last question here that I got for you. So what would you tell your younger self as you were just now getting into the senior living industry, if you can give yourself one piece of advice?
Shut up and listen.
Shut up and listen.
Yeah. I think that would be it. I think in my younger self, you come in and I think I had it all figured out. And what really senior living has gifted me is that I have none of it figured out. And when I do, it changes. So really just having the ability to be curious, be open, and listen to what people have to say, because we have the gift of the talent bestowed to us by thousands of people that run their own enterprise every single day, and they've made me better. Whether it's a server, a housekeeper, a community operations manager, a general manager, regional executive, in some way, shape, or form, they've also influenced and led me. And so having the ability to just be quiet and listen to what they have to say and reflect on that, and really use it to challenge myself, has been the biggest reward that this industry has given me.
Love that. Well, you've given me a lot to reflect on throughout this interview. So we definitely appreciate you taking the time to do this. And again, enjoyed your speech at the workshop, and we're looking forward to hearing you talk about more about staffing.
No problem. Can't wait to see you next year.
Thanks, Katrina. Appreciate it.